So this is the Chrysler 2.4 multi-air engine. It's actually pretty similar to the one that they have in the Avenger and the 200, except it's been reworked with different valve trains. It also been in the, I think it's called NHV, so there's a lot less noise, vibration, and harshness than the previous generation models. Pretty good engine. I think the numbers are around 184 horsepower and 174 pound-feet of torque. It's the most powerful engine out of the bunch. It is not the most torquey. That is left to the turbo. There are three options, one of them being the 2-liter, which is the base unit and almost all the darts. Pretty decent engine. I think it's around 160 horsepower and like 140 something pound-feet of torque. And then the turbo puts out the same amount of horsepower, but it's got 184 horsepower or 184 pound-feet of torque. This is probably the best well-rounded engine. It's pretty refined. It works really good with a 6-speed automatic transmission. The only thing that I notice is that it is a little loud at high revs, and there is some diesel clatter, as you can hear. Other than that, it's really clean. Never had any problems with it. It does sound pretty good, I will say that. For being a stock engine with no modifications, it sounds pretty dang nice. I'd like to let you all know about the things that I don't like about the car. First, I'm going to start off with the, and these aren't in order of how worse they are. I mean, it's just, I'm just going to throw them out there. One problem is the seats. They look really cool, but they are not that comfortable, at least for me, because I do have a bad back. That is really the only main issue that I have with them. They're just not very supportive. And they don't have adjustable lumbar support, so that's kind of an issue for me, because I do have a bad back, so I can't really, it's hard for me to get comfortable sometimes on long journeys, but other than that, I guess everything else is fine. Second being the horn, there's a delay, so you can't do that thing where you just go boop, 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 boop. It won't do that. You have to hold it down. You have to hold it down in order to make it work. It's a little annoying, but, I mean, it's something that you get over with pretty quickly. Third complaint, the outside exterior mirrors are a little bit too small. What else? Oh, and an issue that I'm having, and the car acted like this from the beginning, but the engine seems to thrash against the mounts a lot, which makes it a little difficult to be smooth sometimes. I mean, it's not exactly the biggest issue in the world, but like whenever you're in traffic and you're lifting on and off the gas, you can feel the engine straining against its own mounts, which it can be somewhat annoying, but I mean, that's a small complaint. I really can't say too much. And my last complaint, which is not a serious one, is just the steering wheel. It doesn't... It's okay, but it just doesn't adjust enough down. The tilt is not enough. I can't get it to tilt low enough because I basically like my steering wheel, I mean, not in my lap, but like comfortably down, and it's just, whenever I have it fully forward, I have it fully pulled out and fully down as far as it'll go, and it still kind of looks like it's too much at an angle. I like it, I want it closer to me, but that's not really a complaint. It's just I mean, I have heard other people complain about Dodge Darts, and that being one of them. But that's a small complaint. So that's about it. I mean, yes, it has flaws. Yes, it's not perfect, but that's not what I wanted. I wanted something that was going to put a smile on my face after owning it at the end of the day, and something that I could look back at the end of the night. And that's what happens, is that it's not a perfect car. No, it's not a Nissan Altima. It's not a Toyota Camry. However, it does its job just fine, and it really doesn't put up too much fuss in everyday commutes, because I guess I really can't complain about it. It's a smooth driving car. Like I said, the 6-speed automatic transmission is super buttery smooth. It does have a very nice manual mode that is very quick. It is in the proper alignment too, so if you want to if you want to shift down, you pull it towards you, and that's how it should be, frankly, at least in my opinion. Someone had asked me a question about the reliability of my car and if I'd had any problems with it. I believe it was Bad Drivers of Interstate 80 asked me, and I didn't remember to do it in the review, so I'm going to go ahead and do it now while I'm on my way home from work, because frankly I have nothing better to do. So I haven't had any major problems. I've only had a few minor gripes. One being the tires. They started to fall apart around the edges of it. It's hard to describe, but it was just regular tread wear to me, but they seemed like it was wearing way too sooner than it should have been. Of course, the dealership told me there was nothing they could do about it, and I had to go through Kumho themselves, and I couldn't find anything on their website, and I couldn't get through to anyone on the telephone. So what I did was I just let that problem go. Now, the first problem that happened was with the AC. I noticed that whenever I put the fan at any kind of speed, it didn't really matter what speed it was at, it would make a really loud, rackety noise, where it would, it sounded like whenever you were a kid and you used to throw like crayons into a box fan and then they bouncing around all up in it. That's what it sounded like. So, took it in the dealership. Of course, you know how it always goes. They say, oh, I can't hear anything. So, because they'd only do it every now and then, and it was totally uncalled for whenever it did it. So, I really had no way to replicate it. So, what ended up happening is I just, one day, it was really hot out, and I had the fan on full blast, and whenever I put it on full, the whole car would vibrate. I could feel it through the steering wheel, the pedals. It was making things rattle inside the cabin, like my sunglasses and the sunglass holder. It was really weird. So I was actually on my way to work at the time, and so I immediately turned around and went to the dealership, brought it in. They looked at it and said, yes, there's a problem. Bring it in next time you get a chance, anytime you don't want to make an appointment. Took it in. They said a blower motor had failed. So I'm assuming that they had to take off probably the whole dash to get to the blower motor, because that's at least from my experience with blower motors. So whenever they did that, everything was fine afterwards. There's no more rattle and there's no more noises. But I do have one issue, is that at speeds above like 40, there's a rattle coming from the passenger side. It's not even a rattle. It just it's very faint. And I'm not sure they're going to even be able to hear it, but I hear it, and it's kind of annoying to me. However, there's not too much I can really do about it. So next oil change, I'm going to take it in and see if they can find out anything about it. Other than that, never really had any issues. Whenever I first got it, I had some poor fuel consumption. That's to be expected with a new car. I had to let it wear in a little bit. So after I let it wear in, everything was fine. I still get average fuel economy, so I won't complain anymore. So that's about it.